untuk tak lambat, tapi pagi tadi baru sampai daripada Sabah, dan sebab tukaran masa saya tukar sini sana sampai lambat lah, so saya mohon maaf. So I think we will start this PC in English kalau tak keberatan, and then we'll take questions in BM, and then kita akan tampilkan penterjemahan sekiranya perlulah. Okay, what we're here to talk about and discuss is essentially a manifesto item or Pakatan tawaran Pakatan Harapan item specifically on esports. Now, I'm just gonna read through it, and I'm gonna give elaborations if and when there are some places that requires a bit of elaboration. The universal esports ecosystem basically comes down to several main publishers. Publishers are the company and the party that designs and also puts it online for people to play. So basically the owner of the game. Tencent, Valve, Riot Games, Activision, Moonton, these are probably names that only gamers would understand and know, but these are multinational companies. They are huge. And they basically have employees everywhere throughout the world, and they create literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs. Malaysia is unique in its esports ecosystem in the sense that it has a huge base of nearly all these publishers' signature titles or games. While certain countries are working towards only letting one ecosystem dominate their esports world. I need to elaborate a little bit on this. Let's say, for example, any Dota players, Dota 2 players, Dota is published by Valve. And when you spend money in Valve, you use Steam credits. In that is the publisher, and basically it's downstream. When you play MLBB, Mobile Legends, and Mobile Legends is is published by Moonton, a company that is owned by a company called ByteDance, which just so happens is also the company that owns TikTok. League of Legends, a lot of people get confused. MLBB, Mobile Legends, Bang Bang are the same, is published by the same publisher, but it's not. LOL, not Laugh Out Loud, League of Legends is actually owned by Tencent. And you've got all these, by Riot Games, which is owned by Tencent. And then you've got, Activision and many other publishers who own many other games. Now, or publishers, many other games. However, the current government has done very little to capitalize on the uniqueness that the Malaysian consumption of games and esports. A government led by Pakatan Harapan will fully capitalize on this to benefit youth and the economy of the country. And the following specifically discussed and agreed policies will be put in place. For example, for many friends from the media will probably know that there's an annual event called Level Up, normally organized by MDEC. It's a digital ecosystem conference, and it's kind of like an expo as well. That is held in the Kinta Valley, normally every year. And when Pakatan Harapan was in government, I specifically think it was 2019, the Perak State Government, as well as Kementerian Belia and Sukan KBS, and the then Minister Saudara Sadiq, with my office at the time, which is the Youth and Sports Expo office, actually held and actually had the first one of its kind, an industry-wide level conference. It was an ASEAN level conference called EPIC. Nama dia pun EPIC lah. That is Esports Professional Industry Conference held in Ipoh. And what we're discussing and what we've agreed upon is to amalgamate these two large-scale into actual yearly events to attract broader esports ecosystem and also industry giants such as Valve, Tencent, Moonton, etc., to put their highest level officers here to discuss together the action plan for the next year at the policy level as well as an operational level. And of course, it will also be a gathering point and a gravitational force for kind of not only gamers, not only industry players, but industry leaders, captains of industry, to really strengthen the economy that esports actually is. Number two, this is something that especially those who are in the front line of the esports industry, we've agreed that there needs to be a streamlining and digitalizing of visa request process for international athletes, and specifically not just sports athletes but esports athletes, and also providing support for esports tournament by the government, by KBS, through several agencies. And I'll go into what kind of agencies shortly in point number 4. Point number 3, it's about athlete development, grassroots development, preparing potential athletes, including those in esports, with additional capacity, personal knowledge, and skills. And of course, when we talk about athlete development, you're talking about mass sport or mass outreach, as well as high performance. We're talking about both. And if we want to go into a bit more detail on how, we'll go into that, but we're talking policy level now, so we'll keep it as what it is. If you want to jibe me or you want to really cucuk me, I'm more than willing to give answers, and Rajiv is the policy guy here, and he'll nudge me if I say the wrong thing. To address the current underlying disparity and inconsistencies with responsibilities and jurisdictions between MSN, MESF, ESI, specifically in OCM recognition of an esports national governing body stroke association. Now, the reason why I want to put this specifically, or we've agreed that this needs to be a point of action, is because, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months, we've seen a lot of confusion where you have certain officials, high-level officials of, for example, MESF, claiming that they are the sole authority of esports, when actually, in terms of high-performance management, is actually MSN. There's been public spats that has come into the fore, which isn't very good for the ecosystem. It's not very good in the industry. It's definitely not very good for our athletes, our flag-bearing athletes. And these, and especially when we refer to what happened in Hanoi, where there was problems with the recognition of MESF, which is Malaysian Esports Federation, as the national governing body for esports. Now that could serve, if this was to continue, it would become a mass embarrassment, and we are giving our commitment to want to solve that and address that specifically for the long term. And then, of course, the last one, and I think everyone who knows anything about esports would concur that there is definitely a need for us to look into initiating a process to institutionalize a tribunal mechanism. Now, I believe that the PDF that we sent out, it's tribunal, sorry, there was a bit of a typo earlier on, that's my fault. To initiate a process to institutionalize a tribunal mechanism where, let's say, for example, you perhaps are a third party or even a fourth party tournament organizer of MLBB, you promise a top prize or at least a prize pool of 10,000 or 100,000 ringgit, and actually before you go into tournament you only have a collected cash prize available to be given out to the athletes, the potential winner of perhaps half of it. Only the top 10 places got their prize, or what was committed from the prize pool. The rest just simply didn't get what they were supposed to get. So these are issues that are faced and continue to be faced by esports enthusiasts, athletes, amateurs and professional alike. So these issues need to have a cara dan wadah penyelesaian. So therefore, we are suggesting that the PH government, as soon as we get into office, both MSN as well as the official national governing body, to invite industry experts, legal experts, etc., captains of industry, to form or to start the process of forming a tribunal mechanism to solve all these problems. And of course, these items will increase the focus of the government on esports, which will lead to a positive economic spillover in terms of sports tourism, where athletes can fly over with their team to train at these suitable training centers and spend months training with players from around the world. And we hope to see Malaysia become an esports hub, and we'll make this our goal. And this is fully in line with the manifesto that we actually have here. And if we were to only just refer to the top 10 policies that we've actually outlined, item number 3, if I'm not mistaken, from the top 10, it's about perkasa peluang ekonomi belia dengan teroka sektor manusiawi, and esports tourism and sports tourism specifically is one of these segments. And now let's go into some juxtapositioning and comparison with some of the other manifestos that are out there. The PN manifesto mentions memperkasa pembangunan bakat esports dengan memperkenalkan stadium khas esports dan program mencungkil bakat masa depan esports. I think your standard daerah level athlete will be able to churn that out. How to do that? Through what? What is the role of, who is going to be your daerah governing authority? Who is the national authority? Is MESF going to be given the power? What role does MSN have to play in high performance? When you say mengcungkil bakat for amateur level, professional level, flag bearing, which and what? So, don't want to put too much focus on what they've said. It's clear that there was no other further elaboration or action items have been put forward other than a esports specific stadium and programs. Dan benda ni pasal stadium, I mean, you don't need government to do this. There's plenty of private players out there who would put the money, and of course, I would be the first one to say that there needs to be a public-private partnership in hardware facilities. So for a manifesto to just put this, perhaps this item put into a manifesto 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, you can still accept it, but it's progressed to a point where it's so mature and it's such a professional industry now. To say that is just trying to pull wool over the eyes of specifically esports enthusiasts and people who know the industry. The BN manifesto fails to address the sports industry as a whole, and the lack of understanding of the esports industry and the uniqueness of Malaysia by both the coalitions shows that this industry can only truly benefit if and when Harapan comes into power. While we have increased focus on the esports arena, we will also continue to grow our traditional sports via strategic investments and restructuring of the ecosystem development, infrastructure facilities, management of athletes' welfare and protection, stakeholder participation, detailed planning to nurture talent at every level of society. And when I speak of infrastructure facilities, it's about making what we already have attractive and fully utilized, both for the local utilization of both athletes, amateur and enthusiasts, as well as making it attractive and available for international athletes and international sports tourists. So I'll go into the specific point. There's 5 very simple point. Number 1, it's about upgrading selected sports complex to position Malaysia as a high-performance sports training destination. Sports facilities will be equipped with the latest technology, allowing athletes to train and rehabilitate efficiently. These athletes will receive a higher quality training and rehabilitation experience. One thing that many people don't know outside of high-performance sports is that Malaysia, or in fact most tropical countries, equatorial countries, are extremely attractive a place for alternative climate acclimatization. So you will have athletes that are long-distance runner, you have sprinters who would choose to have high humidity, high heat climates to train so that they can shock their body into acclimatizing to alternative weather from what they are accustomed to. It's called conditioning and acclimatization. So Malaysia has this opportunity, and Malaysia has to a certain extent already the infrastructure to attract world-class athletes to make Malaysia a boot camp destination. Number 2, removing the barrier of access for citizens to access sports facilities and infrastructure in order to cultivate a sporting culture is quite self-explanatory. Opening up and creating more opportunities for talents at the grassroots level so that more citizens will freely participate in sports. A stronger grassroots outreach means a stronger pool of talent for high performance. This is why there should always be sukan massa yang melengkapkan sukan prestasi tinggi as a principle. For cultivating partnerships with the National Athlete Welfare Foundation, YAKIP, to prepare skills training programs and careers for former athletes to ensure that they live comfortable lives and decent lives after retirement from high performance sports. And of course, when you refer to YAKIP, we are only talking about flag bearing athletes who've represented the country in ASEAN, Commonwealth, Olympics, etc., etc. But I think there should be, and some efforts have already started, and in fact have been implemented. I refer to the Perak State Government's not initiative, but still running program of a former athlete or an ex-state level athlete welfare program, where if a former state athlete who's represented the state falls into either physical difficulty or financial difficulty, there is a fund set aside very similar to YAKIP but at the state level, so that whether you're a state athlete or you're a national athlete, you are taken care of and your welfare is part of government's responsibility, if not fully, at the very least partially. The fifth point, and the last, is to form a dedicated sports industry council to assist and support private sector sports development. This is part and parcel of the sports economy, sports tourism, and to make Malaysia a destination that athletes from around the world will be able to come here. And when I say to come here, not only just because they feel like this is a destination, I'm an athlete and I want to come and do acclimatization. This needs to be let's say for example, Olympic Council Malaysia with the UK Sports Council, or perhaps the European Sports Council, or essentially needs to be a government to government sports governing body, a national governing body to national governing body. All these needs to be tied up and coordinated in a professional, advanced and productive way for both athletes, for sports, as well as for the economy. So I think that's all for now. Anything you want to add, Jude?
Questions?
Questions? Soalan? Tak ada.
Kalau Webi just nak tanya lah, pada 2018, 15 of July of 2018, Menteri ketika itu YB Gobin ada mengatakan diorang KKMM sedang mengkaji untuk siarkan EPL dekat RTM pada masa itulah. Lepas tu sumbangan semua mungkin. So mungkin apa pendapat YB, adakah DAP melihat ataupun Pakatan Harapan melihat perkara ini boleh dibuat?
Itu merupakan satu komitmen oleh kerajaan sebelum ini, sebelum pengkhianatan berlaku dan langkah Sheraton. Dan apa yang saudara sebut tadi adalah bahawasanya kuasa yang telah diamanahkan kepada Pakatan Harapan ketika itu pada 2018 telah dirampas dan maka tidak boleh dilaksanakan. Dalam manifesto kali ini, perkara itu tidak timbul kerana satu konsensus atau satu persetujuan bahawasanya ada perkara-perkara yang lebih penting, mustahak, yang perlu diutamakan dalam tawaran ini, kerana lanskap sukan telah berubah, lanskap negara telah berubah dan keutamaan perlu diletakkan kepada perkara-perkara yang berbeza. Jadi perkara ini tidak timbul dalam tawaran ini, dan saya mengambil maklum bahawasanya perkara itu telah ditanya tetapi ia tidak masuk kali inilah.你要讲问都可以。
刘振东议员之前那时候他就有要举办一个王者荣耀公开赛嘛，然后就很多网民骂讲，其实他们觉得这个做法其实是你是想要迎合年轻人，可是不是在真正的去了解年轻人要什么，就是做这些东西，你觉得年轻人会不会想看你们？
我从这个尤其是电子竞技这个圈子里面呢，不是只是因为要迎合年轻人而去做。第一点就是在我们就是在
2018年就是我们当政府，尤其是在霹雳州做政府的时候，那22个月里面，这短短22个月里面呢，我们已经办了一场叫做 EPIC Esports Professional Industry Conference， 也是电子竞技专业生态的一个高峰会。当时我们探讨的和谈到的，不只是要怎么样去得到年轻人的心，而是要怎么样透过电子竞技，透过科技，透过这种在电子竞技这一个圈里面下流和横流的这些经济领域呢，制造更多的就业机会和从商的机会。这个东西很可能，如果从很表面的看法是可以和只是可以迎合年轻人的心声，但是我刚才所谈的就是我们要把它视为一个商机和一个业绩。其实如果某些单位觉得这只是迎合呢，他们就在我的面子书里面看一看我们在2018年做的那一场研讨会，叫做 EPIC，每一年也可以做一个去出席一个 MDEC 做的那个叫做 Level Up 的国际可以说是电子和数码商贸展，当中从在这个领域里面得到的就业机会和在里面正在经营着、耕耘着明日经济的这个数码经济的年轻人，如果要给他们有就业机会，就是迎合到他们的心，何乐而不为呢？但是如果说办王者荣耀的比赛或者这些tournament，就是对。他们是会指责这个东西为一个负面的东西呢，可见他们是很不了解年轻人吧。因为电子竞技不只是游戏，电子竞技是一个经济，竞选的竞，技巧的技，是一个经济，就是人们经济竞技是经济。
所以你觉得他们的这些指控是因为他们
不了解？
把它视为是个娱乐，
是，就是指控者不了解，不等于实情就是指控者的现实跟他们的了解有很大的分别啦。因为有就业机会的东西，我们是不需要也不容许被拒绝的，而这个东西是不小的。而且为什么我觉得马来西亚是有一个很独特？刚才我在我的文稿里面是有指到，在马来西亚一个独特的一个优势呢，就是比如说腾讯的它的那个生态环境里面，腾讯的游戏啦，是有 MLBB 有 Wild Rift，就是 League of Legends， 就是另外一个王者荣耀的另外一版，而王者荣耀就是ByteDance。就是这不同的 publisher 从中国的一些关联公司，一些是从上海，一些从北京来，这些所谓的电子竞技的大出版商叫做 publisher， 和另外一些不同的生态但是也是这些电子竞技的这些出版商所出版的 Dota FIFA 背后所办的一些竞赛。physical 的竞赛和网上的竞赛背后所可以创造的就业机会，其实是多不胜数的。如果是一些指控，觉得这些东西是不适当被用来去拉拢年轻人的心声，他们其实就是在拒绝着年轻人的就业机会，一些明日经济的。一些新的经济管道，他们不了解，来，我可以跟他们谈的，我可以跟他们解释的。
因为有些人会觉得这种比赛这些东西，其实它是可能不是民众真的想要，民众想要看到的是比起比赛举行这些比赛，可能是更实质的宣导你们的理念这样的东西。那你是怎样看待？
我的想法是，这个是一个全面的 我们如果做政府，当我们做政府会做出一些什么？如果大家看整个希望联盟的竞选宣言里面是有39个主要事项，而这个是39项主要的宣言事项当中的其中一个副项。我们不是把这个范围单一个最大的议程嘛，这个是议程当中项目中的其中一个事项，所以这个指控也不大正确吧，因为我们也有谈到，不只是电子竞技电游啊，我们也没有说只是手游啊，只是电子竞技都有3种，一个就是手游，一个就是 PC， 一个就是 console， 这3种都是不同。PC 你已经有了你已经有了一部电脑 ，OK， 手游你已经有了一个就是手机 ，console 的你要另外去买一个 Nintendo Switch 啊，这些已经有，但是你是顺便，就是如果你有个手机，你是用来打电话，你顺便拿来看视频，那看视频就是等于不应该被不应该被重视吗？而这只不过是你有一部手机，你又看视频，又打电话，又发又做 messaging， 然后同时再把它有另外一个方式，就是打手游。但是刚碰巧有一些人他是玩手游很厉害，因为厉害到可以上到去做专业的，这就是所谓你去到去专业，就是你就是从中可以得到生计，找到生计，甚至一些真的是可以发达的，何乐而不为呢？有什么错呢？
Whatever you just answered.
Mungkin saya terjemahkan apa yang ditanyakan tadi sebab agak menarik dia punya soalan. Ada sesetengah pihak yang mendakwa atau menuduh bahawasanya kita atau mana-mana parti politik khususnya Pakatan Harapan yang dirujuk adalah saudara Liu Chintong selaku yang berhormat Liu Chintong selaku ketua pembangkang dan juga sekarang calon untuk Parlimen Iskandar Puteri pernah menganjurkan satu pertandingan King of Glories. It's called Kings of Glory. Dia macam versi MLBB daripada satu publisher yang lain lah. Okay. MLBB Munton. Yang ini oleh yang itu oleh Munton, yang LOL oleh tak apalah, dia publisher mana kalau saya tulis, saya cakap pun bukan semua orang faham. Tapi dia memang satu basically PC game lah. So satu e-sport dianjurkan satu pertandingan dengan adanya hadiahnya dan sebagainya, dan dituduh kita buat itu semata-mata untuk menarik hati anak-anak muda. Satu, orang yang buat dakwaan dan tomahan bahawa semata-mata nak tarik hati orang, itu tak tepat. Kerana seperti yang saya sebut tadi, e-sports adalah satu industri. Malah ia adalah satu ekonomi yang cukup luas pengaruhnya dan cukup banyak peluang pekerjaan dan peluang perniagaannya yang di sebaliknya. Jadi apabila kita membawa satu, katakanlah satu pertandingan atau satu tournament Kings of Glory atau dalam bahasa Cina dia Wangzhe Rongyao, ia mungkin pastinya dia ada unsur dapat menarik hati dan sokongan anak-anak muda. Tapi saya juga pastinya yang menyertai pertandingan tersebut bukannya semua belia, pastinya yang macam saya ni tua-tua pun pasti ada, 30-an, 40-an pastinya ada. Sebab gaming merentasi usia. Saudara Lim Kit Siang pun main Pokemon Go. Jadi tomahan dan dakwaan bahawasanya ini semata-mata nak tarik ambil hati orang tak tepat, kerana kita sedang membuka satu boleh dikatakan satu industri baru, memperkenalkan keterlibatan anak-anak muda dalam satu industri baru. Silap hari bulan, orang yang join menjadi menyertai pertandingan tersebut, dia mungkinlah baru 2-3 kali pegang phone main MLBB ke main game itu, tetapi dia hebat, handai benar, dan dia tiba-tiba muncul sebagai juara, dan dengan juara yang dia dapat tu, dia join pertandingan yang lebih hebat, lebih tinggi, lebih luas, dan dia menjadi jutawan kemudian. Seperti ramai yang pernah secara tidak sengaja masuk e-sport, menjadi juara, menjadi jutawan. Katakanlah, ambil contoh, kalau kita nak ni bukan nak single out, nak masuk menyertai sukan memanah, nak beli bow tu ribu-ribu ringgit lah. Ratusan tu murah dah kira. Kalau kita nak main lawn bowls, nak beli satu set bowls pun mahal juga. Badminton lah, ni punya badminton punya raket pun bukan murah. Tapi apa yang saya sebut tadi adalah, kalau e-sports atau kurang-kurangnya gaming, in the gaming industry, dia ada 3 jenis aja. Satu adalah PC game, satu adalah console game, satu adalah mobile game. Mobile game hang dah ada mobile, messaging ke, nak WhatsApp dengan boyfriend girlfriend ke, dia boleh tengok YouTube ke. Satu lagi fungsi tambahan sebenarnya adalah main game. Cost of entry atau cost atau perbelanjaan untuk nak menyertai atau masuk ke dalam gelanggang begitu rendahnya kerana sudah ada. Jadi bagi saya, untuk membuka ruang atau mencipta peluang untuk seseorang menyertai satu sukan, tidak banyak sukan yang lebih murah kos penyertaannya daripada e-sport, dan peluang atau potensi pulangannya cukup lumayan sekiranya ada bakat. So, tomahan bahawa ini semata-mata nak ambil hati, sebenarnya orang yang buat tomahan itu dan dakwaan itu jelas tidak memahami apakah itu e-sport dan betapa besar potensinya e-sport sebagai satu ekonomi, satu sumber ekonomi dan sumber yang cukup berpotensi.
Okay. Saya tambah sedikit, I just add on a bit kepada golongan yang tak main game langsung, tak tahu main game itu adalah e-sport, dan untuk mereka, this is an industry yang ada di belakang game. So walaupun game main kat handphone, tetapi di belakangnya ada satu industri yang seperti mana kerajaan dahulu menarik F1 masuk ke Malaysia, seperti mana kerajaan-kerajaan sekeliling dunia dia tarik World Cup masuk negara dia, dia tarik Olympics, Asian Games, SEA Games untuk masuk negara, disebabkan dia ada banyak spin-off effect. And in all the 3 coalition yang bertanding in this pilihan raya, saya rasa hanya jelaslah satu coalition yang faham betapa pentingnya kita kembangkan ekonomi kita ke banyak cabang yang baru. We've talked before about care economy, and hari ini kita bicara pasal e-sports economy. And in the e-sports, walaupun you tak main game, hakikatnya there is a whole economy behind it, and that economy have spin-off effect kepada banyak golongan yang tak main sports, from the hotel industry, people coming in to use the venues, the facilities, and all the other add-on tourism that comes along with it. So there is that, which is the same reason why the previous government went after F1, the same reason why all the governments go after international tournaments, they want to bring them in, the same reason why we have that vision to go after esports and make Malaysia the flagship centre for esports.
Dalam bahasa mudah dan senangnya, limpahan ekonomi yang kita mampu dan berpotensi dapat daripada ekonomi sukan, dan dalam konteks ini kita nak gabungkan sukan dengan e-sport, adalah bahawasanya kalau seorang atlet, khususnya atlet muda yang umur dia 18, 17, mereka datang ke Ipoh, katakan di kawasan saya, yang punya satu kompleks sukan yang cukup mantap. Mereka datang bersaing dengan atlet daripada merata Malaysia, mungkin daripada Thailand, daripada Indonesia, dari Singapura, dari Filipina. Pertandingan yang disertai itu bukan sekadar atlet saja yang datang. Atlet akan bawa ibu bapanya atau ibu bapa akan bawa atlet itu. Dan ibu bapa mungkin akan bawa adik-beradik dia sekali untuk buat family trip. Mereka datang, mereka belanja kerana kena duduk di hotel. Hotel dapat limpahan rezeki. Bila mereka datang 3 hari 2 malam atau 4 hari 3 malam. Setiap sarapan pagi, makan tengah hari, makan malam. Lewat malam lagi, lepas training nak makan lagi. 4-5 orang itu akan belanja untuk makan. Yang buat F&B dapat limpahan rezeki. Di situlah yang kita maksudkan sebagai ekonomi sukan. Ekonomi sukan bukan semata-mata orang main sukan dan dia beli raket. Orang main sukan dia sewa tempah gelanggang. Ia adalah satu ekosistem ekonomi yang meluas, holistik, yang membina asas consumption, yang menjadi asas kepada pembinaan satu ekonomi yang lebih besar.
Okay.
Any other question? Kalau tak ada, thank you very much. Mau balik campaign dah.
Alright.
Thank you.
Thank you.